Welcome to the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, where there's always another secret.
Welcome back, Sixers, to another episode of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies. This is episode 171. Yes, it's palindromic. September 23rd, 2024. I'm Bill, and I'm joined, as always, by my interlusionary co-hosts, Amy and Jordan. Welcome.
Interlusionary. Wow. Ooh, that's a fun
No, interlusional. That's what I was supposed to say. Dang it. I muffed it. It's not
again?
even a word. No.
Not with that attitude.
I don't have the right attitude.
Aww.
No, but you do have the proper degree, so it's okay.
All right. Well, before we get started, we do want to remind our listeners that the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is not a spoiler-free podcast. That means that if there's something in the Cosmere you haven't read and you're worried about hearing spoilers, you might want to go read those first, then come back and join the discussion. Because Brandon is still sending out more chapters. And this week we are going to be discussing from the unpublished Wind and Truth, Interludes 1 and 2, and chapters 14 and 15. So, there's stuff happens. Stuff is happening. But before we get into it, for those of you who listen to the podcast recordings or watch the videos on YouTube, we do want to remind you it's possible for our listeners to interact with us live via chat as we record each episode at www.youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. We record episodes of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies every other Monday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, so please join us and take an active part in the discussion. The show is made possible by the support of our listeners and patrons. It will, of course, continue to be free, but if you want to help us out, head over to patreon.com/Cosmere Studies. Even pledging $1 or $2 per episode really helps us out as we work to improve the show. Patrons get immediate access to our Discord channel, where you can talk about the show and the Cosmere with other listeners of the podcast and other enjoyers of the Cosmere. It's a great community with a lot of great discussions, and you'll also get early access to bonus episodes, exclusive access to other bonus content, and other good stuff. And we realize we haven't put out a lot of bonus stuff recently, but we're still working on that and hoping to get more out. So yeah, how y'all been doing?
I think I am, knock on wood, almost over this cold. It's just the last little vestiges of stuff, and
so no more squeaky voice?
No more squeaky voice for now. Sorry, you have it recorded, so there you go.
We do have it recorded.
Mm-hmm.
We'll always have episode 170.
No, I watched my TikTok video where I was saying we were going to record that day, and I was like, wow, I sound so scary. It's so bad.
We should have a shirt that just says we'll always have episode 170 and let people wonder.
What happened in episode 170?
Amy had a cold.
Amy almost died.
It was great.
But we loved her and it was wonderful still. Anyway, so let's move into announcements. Jordan, how are we doing on our push to full monetization?
We are needing to get to 4,000 hours. We are now at 3,680 hours. So we got a pretty nice jump from the last one.
Nice.
So if you can keep on listening to the episodes on all your devices at the same time, that'd be great. Very
nice. All right. Well, let's move into this Sanderson news. The most boring book ever comes out tomorrow. That is the title of the book, not a disparaging comment. If you're listening to this after the fact, then it's actually already out. And I'm actually excited. I got a notification that my copy is in the mail, so yay.
That's good.
Brandon's non-Cosmere novella as of last week was at 90%, which means he's probably finished with it by now.
Probably.
Blightfall, which is the next step in the Skyward saga that Jancy is working on, is at 40%.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon said he is continuing, plan is currently to start writing Ghostbloods, aka Mistborn Era 3, in January. Just as a reminder, we're not getting Mistborn Era 3 until all 3 of the books are finished. So it'll be some time before we get that, but Brandon will start writing it in January.
Yes.
We've also got some news about guests who will be at Nexus this year, which some of these are really pretty. Actually, all of these are really cool. So Kazuo Kibuishi, who is the illustrator for The Most Boring Book Ever, is going to be there. He's also done, I can't remember what the series of other things that he's done are. But,
do you want me to look it up?
But anyway, seems like a really nice guy. And if you have a copy of The Most Boring Book Ever that you didn't order from Dragonsteel, because those will be signed by Brandon and Kazu, then he'll be there and likely very willing and happy to sign your book. So yeah. Shannon Hale will be there, who, if you've ever heard of Princess Academy, The Goose Girl, or Austenland, she's the author of those. She's local. She lives in Salt Lake. And Amulet. Thank you, Taylor in chat.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Amulet is
Kibuishi?
the name of the book that Kazu, or the series that Kazu does.
Okay.
Back to Shannon Hale. So Princess Academy, The Goose Girl, and Austenland, which Austenland was also turned into a movie starring Kerry Russell, who's just a delight. So
Yes, that's like my guilty pleasure. Just want to watch
that's
something
your comfort
silly.
movie.
Yeah, I love it.
Nice.
I don't know if she likes it. I worry, but like I liked it. Seemed fairly close to the book. From what I remember. So
okay, well, cool. I've heard only good things, so
yeah,
it's definitely actually on the list of ones that I want to watch. So also Nerdforge, who is a YouTuber, will be there. Nerdforge makes all kinds of
random
amazing,
anything.
Random, like she's a crafter. And both she and I can't remember his name. She and the guy behind the camera will be there.
Yeah, I mean she did like she painted a room that's really pretty and stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my favorite thing that she did was just this gorgeous binding of the Wheel of Time. It's like worked leather and painted, and it's got like a little panel on the front that glows. So and like a nice rip. It's just gorgeous, and a buckle across that looks like the Lorien leaves from the Hobbit's cloaks.
Oh, nice.
And so anyway,
is that the clasp thing?
Yeah, the clasp.
Okay.
So it's like it looks like 2 of those that hook together to keep the book bound. But more
that's fancy.
But another thing that she's done is actually also going to be our Cosmere Thing of the Week. Because she took the entirety of the Wheel of Time, all 14 volumes, and rebound them into a single book.
Did you have a picture of this? Because I don't see a link to it anywhere.
I didn't have a picture.
There's a YouTube video.
There's a YouTube link that we have in the show notes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's the video of her making it. She made it again. This thing is massive.
It's so big.
The Wheel of Time books aren't big, and she had all 14 of them in a single volume. She took it off. She rebounded and glued it, and it's ridiculous. And then she sent it to Daniel Green.
No, that's awesome.
And so that is like the centerpiece of his new background, he said.
Not my dice anymore. If you look at his old videos and see the pink dice, that was mine. That I made him.
See, and I thought the centerpiece, like when you get something that big, it's not a centerpiece. I think it becomes like a load-bearing pillar or something.
It is massive. She actually, and it's set up like the leather is pliable enough that you can open it to any point. But if
you're strong enough.
But the thing is, if you want to keep it open, you'll have to have supports under either side so that it will be even.
Oh shit.
And if you have it just open to the middle, it looks like 2 giant stumpy legs. So it's definitely worth checking out. Again, that link will be in the show notes, or you can just YouTube Nerdforge Wheel of Time. Definitely worth checking her stuff out, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we begin?
Sure.
So the interludes. The first interlude is Calic.
I'm not gonna lie. Him going from Calic to Collect to all back and forth always throws me, and I have to be like, "Oh wait, same guy. Okay, we're good."
Calic, Collect, Calic. Yeah. Cal.
The poor little nervous man. Yeah, nervous, indecisive Harold.
So anything that just stood out to y'all?
I had forgotten what Felt was doing. Like for a split second when it would like showed the arms grabbing him, I was like, "Is this where Vasher's been? What is Vasher doing?" And then I was like, "Oh, that's not Vasher."
well,
so that's the thing.
Felt, we haven't really known where he's been since Dalinar went to the valley.
He was still working for them. He came with Adolin and Shallan's group.
I had completely forgotten that.
Yeah, and he was the guide,
right.
The guide they left behind.
Right. I completely forgot that.
But I forgot his ulterior stuff. Like that just did not occur to me.
We didn't know any really of the ulterior stuff other than that he was there.
We did know that he was a world hopper. For sure.
He was a world hopper.
And I could have sworn there was some word of Brandon or something like that hinted at him doing something, but I don't know that it was ever. I don't know.
Right. But I mean, like we've known, like, Felt has been a person of interest that a lot of people have been like, I want to know more about Felt.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've seen he's an Awakener.
Yeah.
And
he didn't have any allomancy, right? He was just a spy.
Not that we saw.
Okay.
Right.
Bye, Michael.
But I think we're correct.
Yeah. So and then I had a thought. It just went away. I had no. It was he's a Ghostblood.
Yeah. Where did we find that out? Is it just now we found it out, or was
I think we just found it out?
Now.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, did we know this before, or no, or what? Or
but
I am
no.
so bad.
Well, no. So that's the whole thing. We've wanted to know what, like, because we haven't known his allegiances. The only thing we ever saw of Felt, was that he was a spy for House Venture.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he distinguished himself enough in the new era or post Catasandra, because there is a town, or I can't remember, district. There was something named like Feltadur or something.
Oh, so something with his name in it.
Okay.
Yeah. And in one of the maps, you're like, okay, he distinguished. So he apparently survived, which we knew that part, but B, he stuck around long enough that he helped.
He got a name.
Fix things up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he was someone of note.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which,
any world hopper is someone of note.
Yeah. Well, within the world, I mean.
Oh yeah. Within Scadrial. True.
Yeah.
And
so it was one, this solves one of my big questions I had about him, which was how are you still alive? Because it's been a while. And so him being an Awakener, he could easily have enough breasts to be ageless.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, if he has enough breasts to.
Yeah, and so that would solve that problem.
Well, and he probably does, because it sounds like, I mean, from what I gathered, now it's possible to have set it up, but it looks like he's able to give mental commands.
Or it was really quiet if he
or he set it up, like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he could have set it up while he was gone.
He could have given the commands ahead of time, but so who knows?
But he has
plenty. Yeah. He has plenty of breaths, is what we know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because if he has enough breaths to do wordless commands, that puts him on the level of the God King.
Isn't it? I thought it was
that's true. That's true. But the other thing is that you're right. You're right. I'll take back what I said on that. But the other thing is that he is loyal to Cosmere.
Yeah, and I did like the little comment where somebody doesn't like Eatil. Is it Cosmere that doesn't, or is it just Felt that doesn't? Felt doesn't like her. Okay.
He calls her a witch.
That's right. Because I was like, wait, who was it that disparaged on her? And it was Felt. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this was huge, because one of my big long-standing theories is that what we're leading to is the Ghostblood Civil War.
Mm.
Because
and this hints at it.
Yeah, well, because a lot of people took, like, they see what Mraize is doing, they would And then they found out Kelsier is the leader of the Ghost Bloods.
Mhm.
And there's over here, what the crap, Kelsier? What the crap? And it's always struck me, it's like, this doesn't sound like a Kelsier move. Like, Kelsier is brutal. Yes. And he's not heartless. He wouldn't be kidnapping children.
I always hesitate to say that he wouldn't, as much as I want him to be a good guy, because there have been comments from Brandon about if it had been somebody else's point of view, Kelsier very easily could have been the bad guy.
Yes.
And he's very focused on Scadrial's survival,
again,
not...
Here's the thing.
For sure.
He wasn't. Could have been and wasn't aren't necessarily the same thing.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think he would, but I'm still open to the possibility of, if it served the right purpose, I could see him doing that, because he was... I mean, did we see him killing any noble children?
No.
We never saw that.
I guess we didn't. We saw him killing nobles who were old enough to do things that they shouldn't be doing. And if that's the case, then they're not children anymore, really.
Yeah. And I will have to say, the world of Scadrial he lives on, childhood is a very short time as well.
Yeah. But the other thing is, he's kind of got a soft spot for kids. I mean, he took Spook under his wing. He took Vin under his wing. It's the kind of thing. Yes, he might do some things that are villainous. That doesn't necessarily mean you're Anakin Skywalker murdering younglings. Yeah. And so, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I don't know. I just,
and especially with the to just curry random favor with some random fused who are basically the royalty of the...
Yeah.
No, I think Kelsier is not happy with the way that Mraize and Ayatil are doing things.
But we don't know exactly how much he's getting.
Well, but we have that line, which that's ahead of time.
Yeah.
But we have that line from Twin Soul.
The Lost
where
Metal.
In the Lost Metal, where Twin Souls like rein him in, and it's like, you will not move against her. We brought her in confidence. No, we're not killing her. And so we see that Kelsier still is operating by that sort of same code that he had when he was alive.
He's honorable a little bit in his own in his own way.
Yeah. Well, and it's just he believes in operating through trust. And that's the thing that's always been the biggest red flag with me and Mraize, is that they don't operate under trust, trust, because like he was like, yeah, some of my compatriots might not like that you could see them, so they're probably going to try and kill you. And that's just a test. Like, if you can't survive that, then you don't really belong with us now, do you?
It's very trial by firing with Mraize's. And I always forget that Mraize is under Eatil, because I always think we see more of Mraize than Eatil. And so I always forget that he's under her.
Yeah, it's hard to forget or remember that he's the middle manager.
Yeah, because he sure doesn't seem like it.
No, the guy has charisma.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's one of those things that, for me, it's like, yes, especially with Era 3 being called Ghost Bloods. To me, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the Civil War.
We knew the plot was supposed to be chasing down a rogue Mistborn murderer, right?
Mistborn, serial killer.
Serial killer. So which means it's already throwing something, because there aren't any more Mistborn.
So I've seen some interesting theories regarding the bomb that went off at the end of the Lost Metal.
Okay.
Because that was a harmonium bomb, which is what created Adium.
Oh.
And it's just like, so there may be some fallout. There may be some
literal fallout.
I was speaking literally.
Oh, okay.
So because what happened with Wax is he just breathed in a little bit and it did something. So it could be just a little bit of reinfusion of Lerasium into the population.
Yeah.
Not necessarily super strong, but some.
But just enough,
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah, I guess that's true. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I hadn't thought about that either.
So yeah, that's because
So,
I was just kind of
love
like,
the
I don't
theory.
know where a Mistborn's coming from, and I know that I probably wasn't going to guess it because Brandon inevitably surprises me with things.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't claim the theory, but I liked it when I read it.
No, and so
I do like it too.
But yeah, and so I just liked seeing with this chapter that we're seeing what I think are the seeds of, because we know that Eotil's running amok on Roshar by the end of this book.
Mm-hmm.
So my current theory is that Shallan is going to find a way to kill Mraize, but Eotil is
a problem.
Yeah.
Complication.
Well, because you'll notice, I mean, this is jumping ahead, but Shallan, she keeps saying, I got to stop Mraize. I got to stop Mraize.
But Eotil's still very much there.
Well, it's the kind of thing, Eotil is living so as not to be noticed, which is a very dangerous for the people who not noticing her. She
and I mean,
it
just seems weird, especially because that she's so good at it, because she stands out physically. She'd have to keep her face hidden in some way, shape, or form, just because of her mask.
Yeah. So obviously that's the juicy part. But the collect part was interesting as well, just because, this is only the second time we've gotten into his head. We got to see him at the literal first perspective we've ever gotten. All the Stormlight Archive was his.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we saw him at the beginning of his madness, and now we're seeing him
it's progression.
Far more progressed, and you can just see how he is, like, just the fact that he gets a sense of relief from being like completely captured because he can't make any decisions.
And I mean, I haven't ever been as indecisive as him, but having been in situations where like I am just overwhelmed and I cannot decide, sometimes having that decision just made for me, even if it's not how I would have wanted, sometimes I could see how there would be relief just then, and that, well, here we are, especially because he's lived so long and we know he's crazy and everything else, that yeah, I can understand why he would be like, well, maybe not what I wanted, but I didn't know what I want, so a decision's been made. I don't have to decide anymore.
He's just so paralyzed by the thought of making the wrong decision.
He's and the overthinking extreme.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's his madness. He was the judge. He was, the one who made rulings and decisions, and now he's paralyzed and can't. Each of their strengths seem to have been made into their weaknesses.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I'm sure it's part of the curse of immortality or whatever it would be going. I don't know what the wording for it is, but yeah. Because I mean, Ash was beauty, and she's destroying all images of her in art. So,
meanwhile, we also see the Scion in their employ.
Yeah, that was interesting. Like
that was a plot device I did not see coming, and I love it.
The spy.
Yeah, the spy is your communication device. It knows everything.
I mean, they basically bugged the transmitter.
Yeah. It was kind of funny, though, especially knowing what happens in chapters 14 and 15 with Adolin and Shallan, that hears the poor Scion going, if I had to hear another kissing session, then I would grow a stomach so that I could puke. I'm just like, oh my goodness. It had to hear everything.
Man.
We just never seen a snippy Scion before.
I mean, the ones in Elantris did have attitude and stuff like that, but not like this.
That Scion probably shouldn't read the chapters that are coming up then.
No.
No, but it's just very interesting seeing, like, for a moment I actually wondered if the Scion was actually a Skaze because it had that acerbic response, the way that the one that was talking to Hoyd at the end of Elantris had.
Yeah, I thought it was like when it like the color flipped or like it flickered or whatever. I was like, oh, is it actually a Skaze? What is? No,
Yep.
it's showing more of its true colors, more or less.
No, the other thing I really like about it is it makes a lot of sense when you remember in Lost Metal that Kelsier has already expressed an interest and a desire to ally with the forces of Cell.
Yeah.
And he already has at least one ally or two allies from Cell, because he's got
3. No, 2.
Well, now 3. Now we now also have the Scion.
Because we have Scion, we have
Shy.
I was
Shy,
like,
and we have it was one of Kai's daughter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the code names are stupid.
Code names are stupid because I can't remember the actual name.
Yeah, her real name is gone.
K-Ice. K-Ice, okay.
I've said it like 4 times.
I'm sorry, Bill. Oh,
because the Elantrian names are stupid.
Now I do have to say there is one thing. Brandon constantly uses the word aggravating and aggravated wrong, and it drives me crazy.
I didn't notice it, but
the difference between okay. Minor grammar lesson. Okay. Irritate versus aggravate. Aggravate is to take something and make it worse. Irritate is to bug or annoy or pester.
Mm-hmm.
And so when saying this is aggravating isn't proper unless you're literally saying this is something that is bad and is making it worse.
Could you say that about your mood, though?
You would need to reference the mood. This is aggravating my mood.
Okay.
My mood.
Okay. I mean, colloquially, it is used incorrectly, as you're saying, because I hear it all the time.
Yes, and it's the curse of knowing proper grammar. Anyway, rant over. Let's move into Interlude 2, The Divided God.
This one threw me. Like, I
don't get me wrong. I thought we were going to get this perspective somewhere in this book. I didn't expect it to be Interlude number 2. And it's one of those things that it's not just that it's there. It's that if we're starting here, that means this interaction is very important. And so we're going to be dealing with the consequences of this all book. And I'm just like, oh, we're starting here. Okay.
I have another thought about the interludes. First off, I noticed we only got 2 interludes this time.
I do wonder if they just didn't give us all of them.
I think he gave us all of them, but since we're going, each of the sections seems to be at day 1, day 2, day 3. I think we're going to get a lot of smaller sections.
Oh, possibly.
With fewer interludes between each of them.
And I mean, we do, jumping ahead slightly, we do get, apparently, we don't have them all yet, but there's a lot of viewpoints in day 2.
We've already gotten several of them in just these 2 chapters, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there's a lot more people there than there usually are in a section.
Right, but what I'm saying is in just chapter 14, we got like 3 minor ones that we may never get again.
Yeah.
So who knows? We got like 4 or 5 total perspectives in that chapter, which is a lot for a single chapter.
Oh yeah.
Other than
which he usually saves stuff for the Sanderlanche, and so again, it's one of those. If we're starting here,
well, this book is the Sanderlanche.
Now, the pacing was not Sanderlanche level pacing. It wasn't jumping back and forth between perspectives or anything. Everybody got sort of their scene, and then it moved on to the next one. And it was a longer chapter as well. So the pacing didn't, I think, necessarily feel like you were being pulled into a Sanderlanche itself, but we did get more perspectives than normal. But still, we're back to Interlude 2.
Yeah.
Because we have
I think
Taravangian.
I think I'm just biased.
Odium.
I don't like him. I don't want to like him in any way, shape, or form. And so seeing him, I don't.
Well, I think it's interesting because we've had the question of, well, you know, he had his blessing, boon, whatever we want to call it. And people are like, is this still going to affect him as a god?
Right.
Like, because people are sitting here, it was on his day of transcendent emotion. So is he going to be ruled by that? And what we're seeing is he's actually got more, it's actually a lot more like Sazed, where he's of two minds about things.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, I don't know if it's as a and this might be a distinction without a difference, or is that backwards? Anyway, it's just, it might be because he's spent so much of his time split between two men. Now that he's a god, he has access to both perspectives.
And he kind of can choose a little bit on which one he'll focus on.
Yeah. It's interesting that we see him already struggling to hold his own identity, to remember Taravangian, so that he's not overcome by Odium itself.
Yeah. I do wonder if being killed by Nightblood affected his ascension somehow. And messed with things. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm wondering if that messed with the investiture level, or how cohesive he was in his. I mean, I'm not saying that he isn't Odium now, but just like, I wonder if that made it extra weird and how he fit into the shard.
I wouldn't say so, just because even though he can eat a lot, his capacity, like Nightblood's capacity, is finite, and the capacity of a shard is essentially infinite.
Yeah.
Like it's impractical. It's practically infinite.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wonder still, even if I don't have any evidence, I just wonder. It's a little thought in the back of my head.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just that he is struggling with the idea he's Odium, is he's even like, he's trying to hold on to the part of him that was noble, the part of him that was worried about preserving people. And but his like, just that raw anger, like, it's interesting because he's proving to be far, like, Race talked about, oh no, I'm passionate, I'm all these things. And it's like, but you're actually just rage, because that's who Race was. Race was that guy, but we're seeing someone who was a man who had depths of compassion, and
especially
depths of cruelty.
At the moment that he ascended, he was in the absolute depths of compassion.
Yeah, and he just and just see, like, how he just starts raging at cultivation. It's like, you three losers.
He's like, you could have done something about this. You could have fixed it. And then it comes back, and she kind of comes back with, well, but there's agency, and people are going to
you need some agency, but how much agency do you need? Like every tyrant before him. If I just control everything, it'll be fine.
Well, I mean, what was the first word? I think it was the first word of the diagram. You must rule everything. Yeah. Was it the first? I don't remember.
It's one of the first.
It was of note. It was of note.
And just that, but what's the he's like, he can save them. He's going to save them all. Which is one of the worst things you could hear from anyone.
Let alone him. It was interesting that, we got the confirmation that, yes, cultivation was very heavily involved in shenanigans with things happening.
Oh, well,
which, I mean, we basically knew, but now it's like, it is there. And completely confirmed.
Well, and it leads me to wonder, and obviously we'll get there towards the end, but was this calculated risk, or was this, no, she planned even this part?
It feels like she either planned it or she knew it was a very good chance, and so she has contingency after contingency after contingency built in.
We do know she's one of the best at using
foresight.
Yeah. And she's, dragon. So that's the thing. I imagine they're better at that.
They at least would have a natural instinct towards it at the start.
Yeah.
I would assume, being longer lived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do like that she's offering him perspective, though, as he makes these, as he makes his, what he considers logical arguments that are, loaded with passion.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's saying, let's do, I can do this and I can do this. And she's like, and then, what is the consequent of this passionate action? And I like how she's pulling that out, because it's just, it's a good look at.
She very much feels like a parent there, like walking him through stuff and being like, okay, if you eat all the candy, then what's going to happen afterwards? Or
only good things.
Only good things. No, you're not going to get cavities. No.
And so I also, he does this a lot, but we get these perspectives of these shards so rarely that I don't begrudge him it. Every time we see one, it's always emphasized that this isn't them. This is the
shard,
the cloak that they put on, so that you can fathom what it is they look like.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just, every time he emphasizes it, it's one of those, like, I get it, and then I pause and I think it's like, okay, but how many of these chapters do we have? Like, yeah, he does need to keep emphasizing it so that we don't forget. So we don't start thinking of them as just a character,
because they've got all that power behind them, which is changing them all the time. Yeah. They just have to have a little bit of soft magic and unfathomableness.
Yeah. His line is interesting. It kind of gives us a little bit of a peek into the way these vessels work. He says, I am the very substance of passion, and where a person suffers anywhere in this miserable galaxy, I feel it. That is the burden of this power. So it's a more direct tie into the, because a lot of them, it's been like, okay, this sort of affects their personality, and that's essentially all it is. This is something that happens to him. It's not just I am divine rage. It's I feel all of the
everything,
all emotions from anyone.
Yeah. And I mean, I could see the difference between him and the little bit we saw of Reyes, in that Reyes has had hundreds of years, thousands of years, however long it's been, to become numb to it to an extent. And he probably still, was saying like, I am rage, I am passion, all these different things. And he probably is, but he's become numb to it to an extent because it's so ever present with him. Compared to Odium, or Todium, whatever we're going to call him, it's new and it's very much in his face, and it's a lot to take in, I'm sure. Because I mean, even just with my arm, which is like at a level 2 pain, probably like all the time, if I'm able to not focus on it, it's not too bad. But when it gets worse, it is hard to have a good attitude and not be grumpy about things. So I don't even want to imagine what I'd be like if I had to have everybody's pain and suffering and agony and all the heightened emotions all the time in my head. So,
well, and that's the letter from Frost where he talks about the shard, and he said, it's God's divine wrath without any of its any other virtues to temper it, or something like that. And we're taking a guy who already was someone who said, look, things are so awful that I'm willing to sell out the rest of the planet to save whatever I think is possible.
Save my little corner, yeah.
Yeah, but he was trying to expand it. Like, because we saw the whole thing where he's talking to Race, and And Reese is like, no. Like, I can see you're trying to, do word games. And it's like, oh, well, if I become king of your theory, I'm king of everything. So you have to preserve. No.
We agreed
and
to
so,
this.
Yeah, he's trying to save in his very pragmatic way as many people as he can.
Yeah.
Now he has all that untempered passion, but he still has that megalomaniacal just confidence that I can save everyone. I really can do it. And that's the scary part. Is that he thinks he can do it.
Well, I mean, that's the opposite of the ideal that Kaladin just swore. As I accept that there are those who I won't be able to protect.
Yeah.
Taravangian is doing the opposite. He says, I can save everyone, and he is absolutely clutching to that.
Yeah.
And it like into that kind of tinge of madness. I can save them. I can save all of them. And it's just, it's terrifying.
Well, and it's also because even with that, because like Kaladin, his whole thing was it would send him to bouts of depression because he feels like he should be able to save everyone. It's Taravangian has always believed he can. And that was when he had no godlike superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All he had was a book written by some guy that he knows he'll never be again. And that was enough for him to think, no, we can do this.
I got this. And it's like, no.
Yeah. It's terrifying. But no. It's interesting, though. We are starting to see a little bit more of Corvelium's influence.
Yeah.
So
it's just interesting.
All right. I think now's a good time to take a break. And then once we're done with that, we'll come back and jump into chapter 14. So we'll see you in a bit. And we're back. So let's move into the next chapter that we've got. So we're now on day 2. First off, before we talk about the next chapter, we have a long list of perspectives we're getting on day 2.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just list them off the way that it's listed on the page. So we got Dalinar, Yasna, Navani, Finn, Yanagon, Adolin, Shallan, Zeth, Sigzil, Kaladin, Lift, Renarin, Relaine, and Lopin. That is 14 perspectives.
They almost, like some of the letters they matched up, like all the S's are together. 2 of the R's. The L's are not. But I mean,
that's only if you look at them in a vertical line. Because like they were listed, they were like, oh,
I guess they were
scattered.
listed the other way. Anyway, but in the vertical thing, it's kind of cool that way.
Yeah.
But no, we got through Shallan's perspective, right, and then through chapter 15, right? That's where it ended, because we didn't get Zeth's perspective in this set.
Did we even get Shallan's? We got Adolin's. I don't think we got Shallan's.
Oh, did we not get Shallan's? Shallan's in Adolin's scene, so that's why.
Right, Shallan is in Adolin's, but
okay,
I don't think
maybe we didn't.
Shallan's
I guess we got 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that would be 6 of the 14, so that's
just under half.
Yeah.
So
I do like the chapter title, though. Go ahead.
No, there was one just looking at day 2 that I was kind of surprised we weren't getting. Just because I thought day 2 would be, we checked back in. I'm surprised Moash isn't on that list.
He can stay.
I don't know that. I'll bet Moash might be an interlude after day 2. So
it's just one of those things where I thought we'd get more Moash this book, but apparently, look, there's a lot of stuff going on. So
I'm figuring he's playing a smaller part probably now because he's blinded and they can't fix it, as far as we know, and he's not. I mean, he has a blade, but he's not a fused. He's not doing other big things.
who knows? Like I don't think he's out for the count by any means. I think there's some sort of shenanigans. Yes, we know.
I know.
But is Brandon going to do that? No, Brandon's not going to do that.
And it wouldn't be satisfying to see him go quietly into the night either. As much as, I don't want to see his perspective. I can deal. So I did like the chapter title of 14 that said not asleep, and like every single section's like, this person's not asleep, this person's not asleep, this person's not asleep. And then it gets to Yana gone. And it's like, he was asleep, except he's totally not asleep. He's like,
no, what are you talking? No, he is the Prime Aka 6 and he has to sleep. He was
it
clearly
is his time to sleep, so clearly he's asleep, even though I'm like, oh my goodness.
We're jumping ahead though.
Sorry, I just loved that, like how he had that all set up. That was funny. I liked that.
Okay, so first off, we start off with Dalinar.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dalinar was not asleep. He's out on the balcony, and
it's like the cover picture almost. Like
so the cover picture, he's up on the top on the roof.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
And he's got his book and he's looking off into the distance.
Okay, maybe it's not quite.
It feels to me like that's kind of the preliminary to the challenge itself.
Okay.
Or at least that's what it's trying to evoke.
I got the same feeling from that picture as the scene, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing that's interesting though, his first mention is, the regret that Gavilar isn't able to face this. He's like, Gavilar would be, and so we see that even still, Dalinar has that
idolization of his brother.
Exactly that.
Well, he still views him as the guy from their youth,
which I don't know that even Navani's talked to him about.
I don't think she has. She probably doesn't want to.
Well, I mean, she intentionally kept his legacy. Like that was what she did at the end. And so this is kind of a burden she's taken on herself. And so she isn't sharing it with him.
I think, it's a combination of she felt so bad after he died. And she was like, I basically cursed him right before he died. And I have that guilt, with that and wanting to keep his legacy alive. And I think she only, even in her section, which is, 2 ahead of the one we're talking about, but she ends up saying like she's finally getting her self-confidence back and feeling like all these different self-actualization or whatever else you want to call it, all these different things. I don't think she's quite ready to address that with Dalinar and say like, no, your brother was a horrible husband. He did all these things. And
who knows?
Yeah.
That may be one of her oaths. Is kind of
that would be interesting. Yeah, accepting that no, I did not deserve that treatment that he gave me. So
anyway. Yeah, who knows though? But yeah, so Dalinar is now kind of feeling the pressure, and of course he's interrupted before we really get into
much of like, and it was kind of cute because Gavinor, like, as sad as it is and horrible as he has these nightmares. That Dalinar wasn't able to spend the time with him.
You think he's only having nightmares?
What?
I think the nightmares might be supernatural in nature. We saw someone having nightmares all last book.
Yeah.
Oh, Kaladin. No. No. Nope. Leave the little boy alone. Nope. Nope. I don't.
Let's look at this logically. If you're Taravangian and you're trying to win at all costs because you think you're going to save everybody, why wouldn't you throw on some trauma onto a child? A child, I will point out, Odium has been fine traumatizing from the start because we saw all those Voidspren torturing Gavinor when he was back in
Kholinar. So my only argument that I can come off right now is that was Odium 1.0. This is Odium 2.0. I don't.
Yeah, but we've seen what Taravangian's willing to do.
I know, but his interlude scene makes me hesitate to say that he would do this to Gavinor. Because he's sitting here clutching this dead kid. I I don't see him wanting to do that to another kid.
Again,
he's not okay with useless suffering.
Well, it's the other thing is there are two Teravangians. He is the divided god.
I know. I don't want it to be the case. I don't want this poor kid to be any more tortured than he already is.
Well, the other thing is, one of the lines of the contract is that they will each choose a willing champion. And I would not put it past him to do whatever he can to encourage a willingness from this child. I could be completely wrong.
I mean, it's very I can see it, but I don't like it. So it's just that that reaction of
I don't think it has to be even for the contest of champions, like, because he's choosing Gavinor. I think it literally could just be, if I torture Dalinar, that's not going to do anything. He's Dalinar Kholin.
He said, you can't have my pain. He just shoved it.
And it's like, so how do you get to someone like that? You go through the ones they love.
And you can't do Navani as much because she's in the tower and she's got the sibling and all these other things. Plus she's freaking Navani. So
she's willing to be tortured as well. Like,
yeah. So I don't like it. No, I'm just going to say I don't like it. I don't like it. I can see it, but I don't like it.
You don't have to like it.
And I hadn't even really thought about they're not natural, but they very well could be unnatural.
Anyway,
it feels too purposeful to me for it to not be like, and it might not be like the same thing as what Kaladin was going through. This could be something completely different for all I know.
It could just be trauma because this kid has been through trauma.
Yeah, he's got CPTSD, obviously. Because, I mean, his mom let these little terrible spren torture him for who knows how long. So this kid's got issues, understandably.
Well, I mean, mom's dead, dad's dead. Mom was messed up.
You saw dad die in a traumatic event.
Supernatural ghost stuff. His
childhood is trauma.
He's been through some stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just it's a hard time, and so, yeah.
So anyway, so poor Dalinar wants to spend time with Gavinor and then gets pulled away, and that's largely Dalinar's scene, right? See, that's where he kind of ends.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting that the Stormfather is more omnipresent in his mind. And so Dalinar is less.
As time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Navani, we'll get into that more in Navani's section as well, because it sounds like that's going to happen.
More and more with the Bonspris, yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk about Yasna.
Yasna. This is the scene that we got before, right?
What?
I don't
remember this scene before.
Because this is the scene where only part of it, where Hoyd wakes up and he realizes he's missing time, right?
I vaguely remember that.
Because I don't remember if we talked about it in here, but I know but I remember reading it. And so...
Yeah, I think that was a reading from one of the events that he was...
Okay, so we did get a snippet of this before, but now we have...
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So as soon as the scene, and I was like, wait, it's her and him in the bed. Ooh, I wonder if it's that. Yep, it's that scene. Okay. So
yeah,
I did like her commentary on the bed being too soft.
The commentary on the bed is amazing. And it's also an interesting commentary. It's an interesting commentary on Hoyd.
Yeah. That he's I want to sink into the fluffiness. I want to sink into it.
One of the interesting commentaries on Hoyd, though, is when he kind of goes into his freak out mode when everything rattles. He's doing a steel push on everything around him.
He's doing some colors, some awakening. Yeah.
All of this stuff's going on.
Some shape shifting,
and that's what I'm saying is he literally changes form. She's like, this was not an illusion. He actually shifted.
Yeah, and which we don't know how that happens.
Well, it almost feels like Cosmere healing, investiture healing, it almost sounds like he's kind of hacked it, where he is so in control of his cognitive self and he has the aspects of being a former Dawn Shard, that he kind of can just sort of, because the Dawn Shard makes him like auto heal no matter what. And so it's just like, if he can shift his cognitive aspect enough to just shapeshift, that's kind of an interesting look into who Hoyt is.
Well, and we've seen a light form of this before with the royal locks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that would be a similar principle.
Well, and a subconscious form of this with the returned, because they look the way they believe they should.
And we know that the royal locks come from a returned.
Yes, from being descended from the first returned.
Yeah.
But this is like, it almost seems like, okay, this is an intentional way of manipulating Cosmere healing to become a shapeshifter.
Well, and it's also just, the other thing that's really good about this scene is because he's so freaked out at this moment, and as much as she's lamenting it in this chapter, she is someone he does trust. Now, how far that trust goes is,
is
a different thing, but he does trust her.
Mm-hmm.
And so he shows, like, she gets to see a glimpse that this entity that she lives with is far more complicated and weird than she could have ever thought.
She gets to see past Wit and into Hoyt or Saphandrius or Midius or whatever his actual name is.
It was kind of sad for her to sit there and go, I'm kind of a pet, like realizing he likes me, but I'm not to the same level. I'm not an equitable partner in this, even if he is treating her generally well. And that was a little sad to see.
Well, and it's one of the, it's a through thread in any speculative fiction when you have these incredibly long-lived races that they just, by their nature, they have to view things differently.
Yeah. Because if he took her as full on, like life partner type thing, he'd have to make sure she gets a way to live longer. Otherwise, he's going to have the pain of losing her. Versus if he stays just a little bit detached, then it'll hurt less.
I've read stories where they'll have that same sort of concept where you have an immortal falling in love with a mortal, and they just have to watch them grow old and die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's why I liked this. Is this feels more? I feel, because I feel like we tend to see it more from the immortals' perspective. I think it's good to see it from the mortal's perspective.
Yeah.
Even when the mortal, someone like Yesna, it feels like they are eternal.
Yeah.
I once read a post somebody made several years ago. It was really interesting. It was the concept of looking at humans through a dog's eyes, and like generational, where they like saw humans as kind of these elder beings who their family has, served and loved for generations. And it's
I think
very
I saw
interesting concept.
That one made me, it was sad. And it's like, like they're actually getting old and creaky, and I'm probably going to be the last one, in his life. And he gave all of my offspring away, so he's not going to raise any more of them. And, and it's just like, oh my goodness, this is so sad and cute.
But it also like the concept of my offspring are now guarding his children and stuff like it's
well, but that also ties to what you said, Amy, about, her. I don't think she said she's like a pet. Did she?
I don't remember if it was that exact wording, but I feel like there was that concept given.
You didn't say pet.
Was it not pet?
But like at least Control F doesn't find the word pet showing up in the document.
I'm gonna scroll. So keep talking. I'm just gonna glance.
But yeah, but it, like, that does evoke the whole thing that we were just talking about with the dog.
Yeah.
Where how can you view someone as an equal when their life is, but a brief moment for you? Like, I just, after seeing so much, I don't know how you couldn't become detached.
Yeah, it would be hard.
So it's one of those things that what I like is I like her sitting there really considering it, because for her, she talks about how this is an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's never bothered with an actual relationship before.
Right.
And so for her, this is this grand experiment, but at the same time, she's now realizing why kind of subconsciously she's never really sought it, but also because the first guy that she's sort of viewed as a, you know, someone who's worthy of investment type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's realizing, oh, you know, I can connect with him on these things, but we need more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and he needs more. Like she's not getting everything that she needs, and he's not getting everything that he needs. It's a very interesting relationship.
Yeah. Well, especially because the whole thing with her is, you know, she's willing to try that. Like, you know, they're perfect. It's one of those things where you meet people who are good friends, but maybe not the best in a relationship. They don't have enough in common.
Yeah.
Or you know, that if you went further than just base friend, that it would cause friction or problems. So it wasn't pet. It was, she'd always been on the outside, maintained as part of his collection.
Yes.
So it was, but that's where I got pet from. It's kind of.
No, then that's fair.
Yeah. No, it was like, I knew it was one of those, I don't think that was the word. Like, it's the right tone. I couldn't think of the word though.
So yeah, I'm not amazing with exact quotes on a lot of it. But yeah, it was interesting seeing her analysis of the relationship and how this was causing a problem, and this was, you know, like just seeing her analyzing it. And I'm sure a lot of his beta readers helped him a lot with getting it worded well so that it made sense. And anyway, it was just, I liked it because you could see relationship stuff, but it was analytical, which is not often the case with a lot of people.
It's Yasna.
It's Yasna, so she's gonna be analytical about it.
But it makes sense that the things that she would be upset by are being lied to and not trusted.
And not being brought into things, yeah.
Well, because we know that she has trauma from her childhood.
Oh, and she touches on it a little bit.
She talks about the soft constraints, and
so we still don't know exactly why or what was going on, but she was basically left alone in a room for a couple days.
But that everyone else had forgotten, and and she's got her own trauma that she's dealing with.
And I mean, in this day and age in Roshar, where therapy is just now being invented by poor Kaladin, then people weren't probably going to think about the trauma that was given to her, or she was, she had from this experience.
Well, no, because we see it's again, it very much mirrors what the psychological theory was of the early 1900s, which is when people are mad, you don't want to overstimulate them, because that's the problem. And so we'll put them in a nice dark place where they won't be overstimulated. Them, Yeah, it's one of the it's the whole, and so look, we know Navani loves her kids, like that's not in question, and even Gavilar at his worst, I don't think would do that if he thought it was bad for her. Like I can't imagine that he would do it on purpose. Like, I think he would be, because that's the thing, it's the Ardents who are in charge of the insane in this world, and that's the prevailing theory of the time.
Yeah, I can see later Gavilar doing it, but that's also the same man who was ready to shove her into a marriage with Amaram. So that's a thing. But I can see younger Gavilar trying to do the best he could for his daughter, and either shoving it off on Navani to handle it, or just being like, okay, who's the prevailing person? Like you said, the Ardents. Okay, we'll get the best Ardent on it, type thing. Because he has a country to run.
They say it's the best. They're the ones who'd know, not me.
We got to do it. We just do what they say because they're the ones who know, and it's poor Yasta.
Well, and you know, let's also be real at the same time. If you're a king, having all the treachery and intrigue of the Alethi court, having a daughter that's out in the open, openly mad, would be a sign of weak. Yeah, it'd be a sign of weakness, and so it'd be a thing where the solution is your experts are telling you also solves a secondary problem on top of it. And so it's going to look even more appealing.
Yeah, because you're going to go, okay, we'll fix that problem. You're not thinking about, I am traumatizing my child, because that's not what they knew at the time.
Well, and also they have the issue of, do they even know if, like, at that time, do they think that she would just forever be like this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't know.
Well, and again, we don't know what like this even means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just little breadcrumbs for us. We're like, no, I need more. Tell me more. What's going on? I can understand why she doesn't want to think about it, though. So it makes sense, but still frustrating. I want more.
The interesting
it reminds me very much of Kelsier. It's like, well, I have that backup plan. We'll worry about that later.
It's like, but I needed it. Anyway, you were saying something, Bill.
No, just the interesting thing also is we were talking about how she's not getting everything she needs from Wit because she wants him to trust her. And she asks him to stop lying to her. Mm-hmm. And instead of stopping lying, he just gets better at lying.
He makes it less obvious. Yeah.
You know, he's more subtle with it. He's, you know, and she's like, I still notice it. I still see it. Mm-hmm. You're not fixing the problem.
I'm not stupid. I can observe problem.
Which is a very interesting look into Hoid, because for so long we've seen Hoid as this mysterious immortal character. This kind of humanizes him. It's like, oh, he's still just a person.
He's just a really, really, really old person.
With, you know, in spite of all the years he's lived, in spite of all the powers he's collected, he's still a person.
He's going to have foibles and whatever else, yeah.
So, I also found it interesting.
I'm trying to think of a pun of despite of his age. And just, I can't, he's not a rat in a cage. I can't figure it out, but there's a rhyme there somewhere.
I also found it interesting when she was talking to him while he was asleep about it. She's, you lie to me sometimes. Design was there. And so it's like he's asleep and he can't hear her, but Design can.
So you have to wonder if Design's like, I need to give you some relationship advice. Don't lie to Yes.
It's not just relationship advice. She's a cryptic.
Oh, she likes lies.
Cryptics are fascinated by lies.
They are. Yeah.
I have to say, Design clearly not a very good chaperone. They clearly have been mating, and
well, Design was really not given the
instructions.
She was given different instructions. I'm sure.
Also, did you notice she said he when she was talking about Design?
No. No, she was talking. She was talking about Hoid, about Wit, when she said he.
I swear, when she's talking about Design, she said he. Maybe I misread it.
It was probably a typo because
it said. So she talks about Design, and then it says, so far, Yasna had caught him in only the most minor of lies. He'd engage in work. So it just immediately, she acknowledged that Design's there, and then just started talking about Wit again.
Oh, sorry. The implication I was having there was, I thought she didn't know Design hadn't talked around her.
No,
but I must have just misread it.
You what I'm guessing is you read the first half of that sentence. So far, Yasna had caught him, and you're thinking, "Ooh, she caught Design. What did she catch Design doing?" And it's not a matter of seeing Design; it's a matter of catching Wit in lies.
Gotcha. Darn it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But then Wit wakes up.
Yeah, and has this freak out
and goes berserk.
Yeah.
He has this freak out, and then he's just like, I'm missing 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
And he's like, ah! And she's like, you told me we were going to discuss this, and you didn't. And then they have they have a guard come in and tell them that there's problems. We got to deal with them now. We got to have a big meeting.
But it's interesting just the way that he actually catalogs all of his thoughts and memories into, it's like when you can, like he says, when you can kind of expand into breaths and store this. And I like to go back and sort of review everything just to make sure it's all working properly.
And what can I get rid of,
Mm-hmm. Well, because
he's got very limited hard drive space.
Yeah.
Because when you have immortality to deal with, I mean, you learn to handle all the knowledge and information that you're accruing, or you turn out like diffused.
Mm.
Well, and we also know that with like the terrorists with their copper mines, they had an indexing system that they developed with storing memory. True. And so clearly Hoyd would know the same indexing system. It makes sense. And organizing your thoughts. But I love the kind of, she's like, well, what 3 minutes? What were you doing during those 3 minutes? Talking to Odium.
She's like,
oh, you're not going to like this.
Yeah. He's like, I just had to float.
It's like, that's... No, he's like, it's... And I love how he keeps... Because none of them could possibly think that Reyes has been replaced. They keep coming... He's coming to the wrong conclusion. Because who's going to think, oh yeah, we killed a god when no one was looking.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as far as I know, just Taravangian died. That's all. Because, I mean, did Szeth say that it was him? Do we know if Szeth...
Well, what happened is, Taravangian didn't die. Race died, and the corpse they found was Race's body burned beyond recognition.
Okay.
Taravangian ascended, and his body is essentially absorbed, vaporized, but Race is the body that they found.
But they just assumed because
there's a body there who was there before.
Well, and because Taravangian did pull the sword in both the cognitive and the physical realm, they just naturally assumed that the power of Nightblood is what consumed him, and that's why his corpse is all charred and messed up.
Well, I mean, you've seen the other times.
What would happen?
Yeah, it would be bad. Very bad.
And so they're seeing what they expected to see, a charred, mangled body from someone who drew Nightblood.
And there you go.
And so...
It's what's so brilliant about the entire plan. And obviously this is jumping ahead a little bit. You wonder what Cultivation's going to tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's the only one who knows, along with a few of the fused. Or at least one. We know Elle knows.
Elle knows something. Yeah,
because it's in his poem.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to Elle. Oh my goodness. Not that he's at this time, but like, when is he going to pop up? Because that's worrisome.
Yeah. The other thing, okay, I can't remember this happening, but I may have just missed it. He said, when Wit says, I know the loss of Cultivation's perpendicularity was going to bite us. When did they lose Cultivation's perpendicularity? It's the one in the peaks, correct?
Yeah, we were told.
Is it between Rhythm of War and Oathbringer?
No, we were told this back in Oathbringer.
We didn't see it on screen.
No, we didn't see it on screen. But when they were in Shadesmar, because they were debating, like, okay, which way do we go? Do we go towards Cultivation's perpendicularity, or do we go to an Oathgate? And when they talked with the Spren said, oh, they control the perpendicularity. That's where they went. Okay. And so they control it from the Shadesmar side.
Okay.
And so they control travel in and out of the peaks.
So they haven't actually invaded the peaks yet then, or?
There was no sign of it anyway.
Okay. Because like we know that Rock went back to the peaks, which is why I'm wondering.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on with Rock at all.
Okay.
And so So yeah, we knew that we know they're at least controlling it from the Shadesmar side.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and then of course now with the Spren at the Oath Gates, letting people, just saying, "Oh, everybody can come through."
Everybody can go through.
Terrifying.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we move on to Navani?
Possibly go wrong.
Let's move to Navani. So Navani is
busy
ruling Urithiru. She ruling it, not like
sitting on a throne. She is walking around figuring out
not bureaucratically, but just sort of existing as the tower with the siblings. She's kind of like partisan, and the conversation she has with the sibling, where the sibling says, we're becoming more and more a part of each other as this bond grows. And I'm like, you mean in the last 2 days? But
oh boy, that's fast.
Navani doesn't like doing things in slow motion.
No,
she doesn't.
She goes with momentum, and I'm not gonna lie, the poor woman when she's like, "Oh, but I'm gonna have to sleep," and the sibling's like, "No, I don't sleep, so you're not gonna sleep." And I kept waiting for Navani to go, "Oh no, I needed that."
No. Navani's the type who would think sleep is a
waste of time.
Is a menace.
You'll notice she's already trying to be like, well, wait, now that I don't have to sleep, how much more can I get done?
Yeah.
What else can I do? And I'm sitting there just going, oh man, you gotta hope honestly, that the Spren bond is gonna parse your brain stuff that happens during sleep, because otherwise that's bad news.
The fact that you don't have to deal with fatigue, that's actually an amazing gift in some way. Yes, it can go weird depending on the circumstances, but in these circumstances, that's kind of amazing. And I feel like, again, Navani would see this as a gift. She's
got magic healing. Yeah, it's like, that's just, that would be a lot though.
Well, but then also the fact that she's bound to a location now.
Yes. Apparently the bond actually weakens
if she leaves.
I mean, it makes sense that the bond because with all of them, the bond weakens with distance. But the Stormfather is kind of ever present.
Yeah.
But the sibling is not. The sibling is a location.
Is right there. Yeah, it's stationary.
Well, it suddenly makes her situation a lot more like Elantrian's and Celish magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to the point where even Tower Light is tied to the location.
Yeah. I do love her. She's like, oh, we got to figure out how to get this out. And the sibling's like, well, you can't. And Navani's just like, we'll see about that.
We'll see about that. She's like, just give my Ardents and me some time. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Although this does seem like
storming Kholin.
This still just the nature of Tower Light does seem like that might be the case. I mean, it would take something along the lines of what you need to do to transport pure door.
So I almost wonder if it's going to be like in a big gemstone, you have the Tower Light, and then you have a coating of Stormlight on the outside to just
or
to fill the gaps or what?
Aluminum.
Oh, or aluminum. They haven't tried with aluminum. That's true.
But the thing is, even if you transfer it, they can't hold it for long.
Yeah. It runs out faster. So you'd almost need a way to convert it or something.
It almost feels like with Tower Light, you've essentially got a Duralumin boost type thing, and it just burns out quickly.
It could be, yeah.
I liked the note. This was or was this later? With Dalinar noting that the Windrunners, even after only a few days, have basically just floating. Stopped walking.
They're like, well, we just float. That's fine. That's what we do.
And everyone else is probably rolling their eyes. Oh, Windrunners.
I totally would float if I didn't have to walk.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's like it's not floating; it's falling with style.
I also like the whole concept of we really need to talk about you spying on everyone. She's like, they're in me. They can't be inside me and expect me not to listen. That's not how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not intruding on them. They're intruding on me, literally.
Literally,
well, it just gets into just some really weird philosophical questions of just what does it mean to live inside someone? Like, to the sibling, it's like, individual cells that aren't paying rent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like they're not air vents; they're her lungs. They're not. It's not the plumbing. It's her blood vessels.
It's her veins and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's a utterly foreign concept, and I love it.
Trippy, yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to Queen Finn and her nighttime activities?
The hammock.
The
hammock getaway.
Brandon, you're getting thirsty in weird ways right now.
Yeah, that one. Like, I loved the poor guard who came down and was like, "I'm not looking. I swear. I gotta grab." He has the freak out because he sees her.
And Finn's response is just, "Oh, for crying out loud!"
It's on the glove. That's the best part. She puts on the glove.
Better. He's like, no, it really isn't.
I always forget how old she is too.
Well, that's I don't know. I've met old people who are like this, where
and it fits Finn's personality.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Where they don't care about any of the rules anymore whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded of a story of my grandfather on my mom's side. He late in his life, he got a really weird thing where he had some sort of, I don't know, fungus, something that started literally eating away at his skull. Oh, and so they had to cut out part of his skull so that it wouldn't spread. And so it's weird when you lose a piece of your skull because the skin sags. And so he's at his 80s, so he's as bald as a bowling ball. And so he has to walk around his own house wearing a bike helmet because he has nothing protecting his brain. And I just remember the day they got home after, he'd been in the hospital for a while after the surgery and stuff because they're checking on him. He gets home, and the first thing he does is he opens up the freezer and he pulls out some ice cream and just starts, making himself a big bowl. My grandmother's like, the doctor told you we need to be careful. I literally got a hole in my head. I'm going to eat what I want. I'm
doing it.
And it was just, he had just finally run out of every last bit of care in the world. He's like, no, I'm old. There's a hole in my head. I do what I want now.
I lost part of my skull. I'm eating the ice cream.
Yeah. And I just, Fenn and her husband seem to be like that at all times with everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes me think of like Sabariel and Polona when they get older. Like I could see them having the same kind of dynamic a little bit. Just like,
this is this is the Finn that didn't trust Dalinar when he was being proper, and when he finally started speaking plainly to her, she's like, all right, now we're getting somewhere.
That's the guy I thought. Yeah, it's like, now you make sense. Now you're not putting on a front. So no, she's
Kamakal. That's her husband's name, Kamakal.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they find out that
invasions
everywhere's being invaded.
All the big, they're capitals.
All of the main capitals of the coalition.
That is the problem with having the oath gates like at your capitals is they can jump right to there.
Well, it didn't used to be a problem.
And then the Spren said, we're going to let everyone through.
Everybody goes. You get a free pass and you get a free pass. Yeah.
This is why you don't trust fundamental forces. Yeah. That's just good advice at life. If gravity ever tries sweet talking you, don't listen.
Could they build like it wouldn't work now. Like there's not enough time now, but although with the stone wards and the bondsmiths, you might be able to, could they build like a fortification around the Oath Gate?
Are you trying to build some sort of like giant, like army paper shredder or something?
I keep picturing in Stargate, like the iris that they have that closes on things.
Oh yeah. but something, something, but just like a containment, like soul casters. They could just something that when they come through, they're kind of in a kill box.
You've got
you need to play Tears of the Kingdom. There's a lot of really good kill box designs.
Well, I mean, considering what the fused can do, there's the ones that can go through stone, there's the ones that can fly, there's the ones that can just like teleport you. There's
it's not right, but it's not perfect, but it's something.
Yeah, I mean, the stone wards would be your best bet for that.
Well, and the soul casters.
Yeah.
So you got light weavers, and have we seen any else colors other than Yesta?
No,
I don't think. I mean, I'm sure they're around. We just haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Well, there might not be, because remember, Ivory says that
that's true. The Inkspren don't really.
The Inkspren are not too hot on it, because that's what the Oathgates are, right? Are Inkspren.
They're transformed Inkspren. Yeah.
We just learned that, actually.
Oh yeah. Kevin in the chat is like, just need a big rock at high speed.
I mean,
reading armies.
At a certain point, all weapons are just overly complicated rocks at high speed or sticks with certain modifications.
Oh man.
Kevin also mentioned, do we think the Oathgates are still lockable?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's. I wonder if it has to do with the Spren. I wonder if if it's different, when you're traveling through from Shadesmar versus when you're traveling directly from one Oathgate to another.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's from Shadesmar, it sounds like they're open door basically, but I don't know about the other way. But I don't know why they wouldn't be fine with that, since they're like, hey, we're good with everybody.
Well, I think the difference there is on the physical side. They don't actually deal with the Spren at all. It's how the device functions on this side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, if you disabled it on the physical side, would that stop the Spren
transfer between?
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen any evidence that it works like that.
Yeah, so we don't know.
We haven't seen any evidence either way, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a...
Because I had that thought too, but maybe the Oathgate Spren have more power over it than just the locking mechanism.
Yeah, so we just don't know right now.
The other thing that this really gets into that we don't really have an answer for yet, is just, what is it the Inkspren are? Like, what is it? What is the fundamental thing that they embody? Because like cryptics are like the mathematical laws of the universe. The honor Spren are clearly made of honor, but what's a high Spren? What's an ink Spren?
So here's a thought that I've played with a little bit, and I don't know if this is exactly it, but each of the armor Spren and the blade Spren, it almost seems like the blade Spren to some degree or another, and I don't have a perfect connection just yet, but it almost seems like if you take the armor Spren and add cultivation to them and cultivate them, then you end up with the blade Spren. So like logic cultivated is ink writing.
Yeah, so it says they tend to be attracted to those who are logical and willing to think through their decisions as opposed to acting on instinct. So they're kind of logic Spren. Kind of.
But it's
just one of those. Yeah, it's one of those. What fundamental thing are they embodying? Is the
flame Spren cultivated become ash, or flame cultivated becomes ash. I don't have it perfectly figured out, but it feels like there's a connection that way.
Yeah, it seems like Brandon's usual thing to have it make sense.
Glory cultivated becomes honor. So that's sort of my thought.
So our glory Spren the armor.
The armor Spren for bondsmiths. Like we've seen Glory Spren surging around Dalinar a few times.
I guess that's true. And I mean, since we did see that Windspren surge around the Windrunners and the
Creation
Spren around the Lightweavers, that I guess
I'm fairly certain Glory Spren are the
that would, I can see that making sense.
You know, I've never really paused to think about it. It makes perfect sense, but it does seem sort of counterintuitive that the fundamental creation of math is related to art, because the cryptics are mathematical functions, but creation spren are the armor.
And I just realized I said glory cultivated is honor. I mean, glory cultivated is the divine. So because it's the three god spren, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's just, I don't know. It was just, sorry. That was the other thing. Navani said she saw Keen Spren for the first time.
Yeah. What were Keen Spren?
Part of me wondered if it was the phrase like keening as in morning or as in, but I don't know.
Well, yeah. So I looked it up because the only definition of keen that I knew was all about people being sharp and stuff like that. But I didn't know that keen allowed wailing or lament for the dead.
Yes.
And given Navani as the mother of machines, and from the Spren perspective, she's killed a lot of Spren. But I don't know. I felt like
captured.
Yeah, but for a Spren, that would sort of it'd be a kind of death. Because Spren are supposed to be free.
So it's also getting the definition of very interested, eager, or wanting to do something very much like keen, like that. So like, I don't know.
You're keen on doing that.
Yeah.
But because it comes after she talks about how, she's becoming a radiant when she'd been certain it would not be her lot. It's like there's a, I don't know. We'll need to wait and see. Because, there's going to be words of Brandon. And there's going to be lots of Raphos.
Oh, sure.
Well, it's just, it's one of those things. I feel like it's going to be important somehow.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how, but somehow.
There's going to be something, yeah.
Okay. We still have a long way to go, and we are very, very, we've already been going for a long time.
Oh yeah, we still have Yanagwan and Adolin's stuff.
I'm trying to figure out if we should.
Well, I mean Adolin's scene is pretty easily.
Later?
What, do it?
Should we try and do a bonus episode? Because we still got a lot to go, because we've got Yanagon's section, we've got more Dalinar, No, we've got Yanagon's section, and we've got Dalinar. Or, I mean, not Dalinar, Adolin.
And there's more than just the shower thing with Adolin's scene, too.
Exactly. There's a lot to talk about. I think we may need to either plan on an extended episode next time and just continue this and then do next week's. Or maybe we won't, maybe the next chapters won't be as insane as these were.
I mean, this one had like 19 different perspectives.
Exactly. So it was a lot, yeah.
So we'll figure something out, and then we'll let you know on our social media.
We'll be informed.
Gosh, I did not see how much time had gone by. Holy cow!
Yeah, because we've still got a lot to cover, and so
time flies when you're having fun.
I think we should kind of end it for now, and then we'll cover more. Yep, we'll come back to it. So yeah, I was planning on doing an email from one of y'all, but again, we're already too deep in and it's getting late. We do love hearing from you though, so please keep sending in questions. Hopefully next time we'll be able to get to one of those emails. You can ask us about the Cosmere. You can drop us your idea for topics you'd like us to discuss during the show. And while you're at it, we'd love to hear your feedback about how you think we're doing, as well as any interesting theories you might have about what's going on in the Cosmere. Because what in the world is going on in the Cosmere? You can send all your questions and suggestions in a brief, concise email to cosmerestudies@gmail.com, and hopefully we could read that as part of the show. You can also reach us at the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, P.O. Box 970063, Orem, Utah 84097. We've got our own personal projects that we're each working on. So, Amy, why don't you start us off and let us know what you've been up to?
So I've basically am done con crunching, which is nice. I finished a little bit early, so that's good.
Nice.
Because FanX is this coming weekend, which is in Salt Lake City. So my Facebook is Coincidence Cosplay and Props. My Twitter is @CoincidenceCosp because my name is too long. My Instagram is @coincidence_cosplay. My TikTok is @coincidencecosplay, and my website is www.coincidencecosplay.com. It has not been updated in months. Anyway, so for FanX, I've just been making sure I get everything ready for that. But Thursday, I'm going to be my Jawa with my Sandcrawler, and I have a flag now that stands extra tall so that we can have one of the Jawas holding that and the other one pushing the Sandcrawler so you can see us from a distance. So that'll be nice. And we're going to trade random stuff and let you donate to Make-A-Wish instead if you don't have a thing to trade for. And that worked out pretty well last year, and people seem to really enjoy that. And then Friday, I might be my Mud Trooper, but there is a high likelihood I may not be. Otherwise, I'm just going to be my Nazgul because I have a picture with Andy Serkis, who is Gollum, and I have a picture, and my friend is going to be the One Ring. She's going to be the One Ring out of a tutu. Well, it works. Fresh. Don't worry. It's going to work. It's fine. And I'm going to have my little stick horse. It'll be great. I'm really hoping that Andy Serkis thinks it's funny. Anyway, but then we also have Frodo and Sam, which is Elijah Wood and Sean Astin. Anyway, I always struggle with getting character name versus acronyms, and we're going to do that one. We're going to have an R1, I think, in Aragorn, the Ring, and me and the Nazgul, and that's going to be Friday. And then Saturday, I'm going to be my Biker Scout, which got approved. So that's, the Return of the Jedi people on the speeder bikes, those ones. So I'm going to be that for a while, and that is me Saturday. So, and I'll probably be plain clothes for a little bit because I can't go to the bathroom in that costume to take it like all the way off. It's not great design that way. Anyway, so that is me. I've been scrambling to get that done, and I have been terrible at posting, but there should be lots of posts hopefully soon after FanX and maybe during it. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. And Jordan, how about you?
Twitch, Kick, YouTube under the name Splice Stream. Doing a lot of XCOM content right now. Enjoying it. Still doing Quizzard on Saturdays, and so if you like video game trivia, we would love to have you as a contestant. So come on.
All right. And as for me, I'm going to promote I Think We Overleveled, which is another show that I do with Jordan and some other friends of ours from college. Basically just a bunch of middle-aged nerds who are reliving the glory days, talking about stuff and griping about how things aren't as good as they used to be, and just sitting around crotchety old men, which is exactly how I think what Jordan wants us to promote this.
It wasn't like the last episode was us talking about the glory of fighting games.
Yeah, our most recent episode, we talked about old school arcade fighting games, and got into all the Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Jordan started us with Primal Rage, which was great.
I think I may have played that maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, you should check that out. We record that on Wednesday nights, same time as the podcast, as this podcast, 8:30 Mountain Time. And you should check that on Jordan's channel, which is www.youtube.com/splicestream. So, for those of you who want to support the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, but you can't become patrons, we would love it if you would just let your friends know about the show. Spread the word. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, to like and subscribe over on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. If you want to leave us a good review wherever you listen to us, we would absolutely love that. And, chime in the comments section of the videos on YouTube. We love to hear your feedback, and we try to respond to those. We can't always get to them, but that's one of the better ways to reach us as well. Any final thoughts before we head out?
There was a lot.
There was so much. We haven't even gotten to so much.
There's 2 of the scenes, basically, yeah. There's a lot going on.
And there were big scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in Adolin.
Those interludes, man.
Oh,
my goodness. No, but seriously, all 4 of these chapters were just like, wow.
Chock-full, yeah.
So, lots of stuff.
It's Sandra Lanches all the way down.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in addition to the live episodes of the show that stream on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies every 2 weeks on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, listeners can find our videos on YouTube or audio versions of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and just about any other service that carries podcasts by searching for Cosmere Studies. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under the profile at Cosmere Studies. For our next episode, more Wind and Truth. So join us in the chat for the live discussion on Monday, October 7th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern at www.youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. Until then, on behalf of Amy, Jordan, and myself, thanks for listening, and remember,
There's
always
always
another
another
secret.